She announced, "I told my parents you're a doctor. Just play along at dinner tonight." I agreed. Sure thing. Then I told them the truth and showed them her secret credit card debt. Her dad's expression when he saw the numbers was legendary. I, 29 male, was sitting on our couch eating cereal when my girlfriend Sloan, 27, dropped this bomb on me 3 hours before we were supposed to meet her parents for dinner. So, tiny detail about tonight, I told my parents you're a doctor, cardiology resident specifically. Just go with it, okay? I put my spoon down. I work in IT support. Yeah, but that sounds so basic. My sister Penelope just got engaged to an actual surgeon. I couldn't show up with a tech guy. I fix computers for a living. That's what I do. She rolled her eyes. Look, it's just dinner. Smile, nod, say you're too tired to talk about work. Easy. Why cardiology? Because it sounds impressive, and my dad had a heart thing last year, so he'll respect you immediately. The entitlement in her voice was incredible, like she was asking me to pass the salt, not lie about my entire career. And when they ask follow-up questions, they won't. I already told them you don't like discussing work outside the hospital. Just memorize a few medical terms from Google. Here's the thing. Sloan and I had been together for 2 years. She'd always been image-obsessed, but this was new territory. Her parents lived 3 hours away, and we'd managed to avoid meeting them because Sloan always had excuses. Now I understood why. Sure thing, I said. I'll play along. She kissed my cheek. You're the best. Wear your navy suit. It looks more doctoral. While she got ready, I did some preparation of my own. See, 3 weeks ago I'd found something interesting. Sloan had been getting packages almost daily. Designer shoes, bags, clothes. When I asked about it, she said her side hustle was taking off. She didn't have a side hustle. She had 5 credit cards I didn't know about. I discovered this when one of the statements came to our apartment by mistake. $7,800 balance. 29% APR. Minimum payment 3 months overdue. A little digging revealed the rest. Total debt, $31,000. The kicker, her parents were wealthy. Like stupid wealthy. Her dad owns a chain of medical supply companies. They'd been financially supporting her while she pursued her passion. She sold essential oils to her Instagram followers. Total monthly income, maybe $200. They paid her rent, her car payment, her insurance. They thought she was building her empire and just needed time to become profitable. So I printed everything. All 5 statements. Her actual income reports from her MLM showing she'd lost money most months. Everything went into a folder in my laptop bag. Dinner was at some bougie steakhouse. Her parents, Gregory and Eloise, looked exactly how you'd expect. Him in a Rolex, her dripping in diamonds. Penelope was there with her surgeon fiancé, Nolan. Dude immediately started talking about his recent fascinating arterial bypass and looking at me expectantly. Must be nice having someone who understands the medical field, he said. Absolutely, I smiled. Gregory leaned forward. Sloan says you're in cardiology? Where did you do your undergrad? State University. Excellent program. What made you choose cardiology? Sloan kicked me under the table. Actually, Mr. Morrison, I should clarify something. I'm not a doctor. The table went silent. Sloan laughed nervously. He's being modest. Tell them about your residency, babe. I work in IT support. I fix computers and reset passwords. Sloan asked me to lie about it 3 hours ago. Gregory's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Eloise's smile froze. Penelope actually gasped. Is this a joke? Gregory asked. No joke. I have my business card right here. I pulled it out. Desktop support specialist. Been doing it for 6 years. Good honest work. Sloan's face went from red to white to red again. We should go. Actually, since we're being honest, I continued, pulling out my laptop, there's something else you should know. You've been very generous with Sloan, supporting her while she builds her business. Of course, Eloise said slowly. She's showing such promise with her wellness brand. About that, I opened the folder and turned the screen toward them. These are her credit card statements, 5 cards, $31,000 in debt. And these are her actual business records. She's lost money 14 of the last 18 months. Gregory grabbed the laptop. His expression went from confused to shocked to furious as he scrolled. 31,000? Mostly designer goods and restaurant charges? I added helpfully. Sloan stood up so fast her chair tipped. You had no right to go through my things. The statement came to our apartment. You had it sent there instead of your parents' house. Wonder why? Penelope was reading over her dad's shoulder. Oh my God, Sloan. $1,200 at a single makeup store? This is financial abuse, Sloan screeched. He's trying to control me. By showing your parents your debt while they pay all your bills? Gregory's voice was deadly quiet. Sloan Marie Morrison, we give you $4,000 a month. Everyone at nearby tables was staring now. I have expenses. What expenses? We pay your rent. Eloise's composed facade cracked. You wouldn't understand the pressure I'm under to maintain an image for my brand. Nolan, the surgeon, actually laughed. Your brand, you sell pyramid scheme oils. It's network marketing, Sloan screamed. It's fraud, Gregory said, still scrolling. You've been defrauding us. We thought we were investing in your future. Sloan turned to me, tears streaming. How could you do this to me? How could you ask me to lie about my entire life because you're embarrassed of what I do for a living? It's embarrassing. The entire restaurant was watching now. The manager was hovering, clearly debating intervention. You know what's embarrassing? I stood up. Dating someone for 2 years who's ashamed of you. Someone who lies to everyone, including herself, about who she is. I looked at Gregory. Sir, I apologize for the deception initially. I thought you should know the truth. He nodded slowly. Thank you. This is enlightening. I left. Sloan tried to follow me to the parking lot, screaming about how I'd ruined everything and her family would never look at her the same. That's the point, I said, getting in my car. She grabbed my door. You can't leave me here. Your parents can drive you home. Or better yet, maybe Penelope's surgeon fiancé has a nice car. Update 1, yo. This escalated quickly, so I went home that night and started packing Sloan's stuff. I knew she'd be back eventually and I wanted to be ready. Around midnight, she showed up with Penelope. But get this, she wasn't apologetic. She was mad. My dad cut me off? Are you happy now? Actually, yeah, pretty happy. Penelope tried to play mediator. Look, what Sloan did was wrong, but exposing her like that was cruel. Was it more or less cruel than making me pretend to be a doctor because she's embarrassed of my job? That's different. How? Penelope couldn't answer. Sloan spent the next 2 hours alternating between screaming that I'd destroyed her life, crying that her parents wouldn't answer her calls, demanding I call them and say I made it all up, threatening to sue me for defamation. It's not defamation if it's true, Sloan. You had no right to show them my financial information. You had no right to lie to them about where their money was going. She then dropped this gem. If you loved me, you would have just gone along with it. If you loved me, you wouldn't have been ashamed of what I do. The next morning, I woke up to 73 Instagram notifications. Sloan had posted a series of stories about how I was financially abusive and violated her privacy and was intimidated by her success. Her success, the woman who was $31K in debt from selling oils. But here's where it gets wild. Her mom Eloise called me, not to yell, to thank me. We've been enabling her for years. Gregory always suspected something was off, but I kept making excuses. You did us a favor. She told me they'd found out more. Sloan had been telling different lies to different people. Told her aunts she was in law school. Told her cousins she owned a boutique. Told her high school friends she was a pharmaceutical rep. Had a whole fake LinkedIn profile as a wellness executive. The debt was just the tip of the iceberg. She'd been living in a complete fantasy world, funded by her parents. We're making her move home. She needs to get a real job and pay off her own debt. Good luck with that. Can I ask you something? Did you really care for her? I did, before I realized she was ashamed of me. Eloise sighed. She wasn't ashamed of you. She's ashamed of herself. You were just collateral damage. That hit different, not gonna lie. But Sloan wasn't done. Oh no, she escalated to DEFCON 1. She called my work, told my boss I was emotionally unstable and had violated her privacy, and she was concerned about client data security. My boss, Jerome, called me in. So your ex-girlfriend called. Ex being the operative word. She says you hacked into her financial accounts. I didn't hack anything. A paper statement came to our shared apartment. She's threatening to report us to someone. She wasn't clear on who. She's spiraling because I told her parents she's been lying to them. Jerome actually laughed. Is she the one who told everyone you were a doctor? Word had gotten around the office after I'd vented to a coworker. That's the one. Yeah, we're not worried about her complaints, but maybe change your locks. Already done, my guy. Already done. Update 2. The entitlement reached levels I didn't think were possible. So Sloane had been staying with Penelope since her parents insisted she move home, and she refused. Penelope's fiancé Nolan was not happy about this arrangement. He texted me, "Dude, she's turned our apartment into her temporary headquarters for rebuilding her empire. She's done 12 Instagram live videos about overcoming adversity. In our bedroom, while we're trying to sleep." But that's not even the wildest part. Sloane decided that the solution to her problems was to become a life coach. No certification, no training, just vibes and audacity. She created a whole website, From Ashes to Achievement, Let Sloane Morrison Guide Your Journey. Her coaching packages started at $500. For that price, you got 3 personalized sessions of radical accountability and authentic living strategies. She was charging people to learn from someone who was $31K in debt and had just been exposed for lying to everyone in her life. But then she did something that crossed every line. She made a TikTok. A viral TikTok. Day 1 of rebuilding after financial abuse. In it, she claimed I had controlled all her finances, sabotaged her business, isolated her from family, stolen her identity to open credit cards. The video got 100K views in 2 days. People were calling me a monster in the comments. Some found my social media, I barely use it but still, and started sending threats. That's when I decided to go nuclear. I had kept everything, screenshots of her asking me to lie, texts where she bragged about fooling her parents, voice recordings, legal in our state of her admitting to the debt, her actual MLM income statements, the credit card statements showing her signature on applications. I made my own video, not on TikTok, on YouTube. 15 minutes of receipts with commentary. The real story, how my ex asked me to pretend to be a doctor. I laid it all out. Every lie, every receipt, every contradiction in her story. The video exploded, 500K views in 3 days. The best part? Other people started coming forward. Her former college roommate. She told everyone I stole from her when she was the one who never paid utilities. An ex-boyfriend. She said she was a pre-med student when we dated. She was actually in community college for business. Her former business partner. She convinced me to invest $3,000 in her first venture. Never saw a penny back. The comments section was brutal. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss gone wrong. Imagine being so entitled you think IT work is embarrassing. The real crime is charging $500 for life coaching. Her parents deserve a refund on her entire existence. Sloane tried damage control. Posted a response video claiming I had doctored the evidence. Problem: you can't doctor literal credit card statements with bank verification numbers. Her follower count dropped from 8K to 2K in a week. The life coach website quietly disappeared. But she wasn't done. She hired a lawyer, some strip mall attorney, who sent me a cease and desist letter demanding I remove the video and pay her $50,000 for emotional damages and lost income. My response, through my own lawyer: what income? Her lawyer actually dropped her after reviewing the evidence. Then came the desperation move. She showed up at my apartment at 2 a.m., drunk, with some guy named Dimitri she'd apparently met on Tinder. "This is the man who ruined my life," she screamed in the hallway. Dimitri looked confused. "You said we were going to a party." "This is the party. Tell him he's pathetic." Dimitri looked at me, looked at her, said, "Lady, you're crazy," and left. She spent the next hour banging on my door until neighbors called the cops. The officers who showed up recognized her from the TikTok. "Ma'am, aren't you the fake doctor lady?" She lost it. Full meltdown. They had to escort her out. Final update. The conclusion to this saga is better than I could have imagined. Gregory, Sloane's dad, reached out to me. He wanted to meet for coffee. I was hesitant but curious, so I agreed. "I owe you an apology," he started. "For what?" "For raising someone who would treat another person like that, who would be so ashamed of honest work." Damn, wasn't expecting that. He continued, "I built my company from nothing. I was a technician fixing medical equipment before I started my business. The fact that my daughter looked down on someone for technical work, I failed somewhere." He told me what happened after the dinner. They forced Sloane to move home, made her get a job. She's now a receptionist at one of his companies, put her on a payment plan for the debt, Required weekly therapy sessions. How's that going? She lasted 3 days at the first job, quit because it was beneath her. Now she's on her 4th job in 3 weeks. 4th? Turns out when you actually have to work for money, life's different. But here's the plot twist that killed me. Penelope and Nolan broke up, not because of the dinner drama, but because of what came after. When Penelope saw how Sloane lied about everything, she started questioning Nolan about his career. Turns out, he wasn't a surgeon. He was a surgical resident, still training, years away from being an actual surgeon. Not a huge lie, but Penelope had been telling everyone he was already a full surgeon. The hypocrisy was too much for Nolan. Your whole family is obsessed with titles, he told her. So now both Morrison sisters were single and living at home. As for Sloane's life coach career, she got reported to the Better Business Bureau for false advertising. Turns out, you can't claim to be a certified coach when you're not certified in anything except failure. Her Instagram is now private with 127 followers. Her TikTok was banned for misleading content. Her MLM kicked her out for reputational damage. The last I heard from her was a text from a random number. I hope you're happy. You destroyed everything. I didn't destroy anything. I just showed people who you really were. I was building something special. You were building a house of cards. I just opened a window. She sent like 20 more messages, but I blocked the number after reading the first few. They were all variations of how I'd ruined her life, how her family would never trust her again, how she couldn't even date because everyone knew her as the fake doctor girl, how she had to take the bus now because her parents took her car. That last one made me laugh. The bus, the horror. Gregory sent me one final message. Thank you for having more integrity than my daughter. I hope your career continues to thrive. The world needs more honest people fixing real problems instead of creating fake ones. I'm doing great now. Actually, got promoted to senior desktop engineer last week. Funny how embarrassing IT work comes with good pay, benefits, and no debt. Started dating someone new. Met her at a board game cafe. When she asked what I did for a living, I told her straight up. IT support. I fix computers and solve problems. That's awesome. Job security for life in this digital age. No shame, no lies, no pretending. As for Sloane, last update from the grapevine. She's still living at home, still cycling through jobs, still posting motivational quotes about rising from the ashes to her 127 remaining followers. Her bio now says, entrepreneur in transition. The only thing in transition is her journey from entitled to reality checked. And that $31,000 debt? Still there. Still growing with interest. Guess she should have stuck with the IT guy after all. At least I can calculate compound interest. Peace out.